This week on the Steam Machine podcast, waifu! Cue the music! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always, the Shoutout.
What up everybody, it's Nate.
Hey, it's Willie. My nose is super clogged up, so sorry about my voice.
Yes. Allergies are kicking mine and Willie's asses right now. Nate, how about you, buddy?
I use Nasacort. Oh, Flonase, sorry. Flonase.
Yeah, I should probably. I should definitely because this post-nasal drip shit that I'm dealing with sucks.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I'm probably have the worst allergies out of the three of us, and I switched to Flonase this year, and it's been really good for me as opposed to like Claritin.
Yeah, that's usually what I do is I take a Claritin and then wonder why I took a Claritin. This shit never actually helps, or at least it seems like it doesn't. But yeah, man, other than allergies kicking all over our asses, how you boys doing? Willie, let's start with you, buddy. What you been up to?
Oh, man, back on that job application grind. I got a couple of callbacks and an interview this week, so that was pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to be starting anything anytime super soon, but, you know, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, man, that's what's up, man. I'll cross my fingers. Make sure you...
Thank you. And in the meantime, I found like a survey website. I'm not going to give them a plug by name just because I don't want to... I realize how much you get paid for doing advertising and marketing and stuff, so they can pay me if they want me to tell you who they are. But making just a little money on the side, I can make like $10 or $15 a day, so, you know, that's like taco money.
Oh, yeah, you can't give up taco money, dog. You gotta have your tacos.
On that taco grind.
that taco grande.
Hey, please don't talk about grinding tacos on this show.
That's for the after dark. Been playing anything?
Well, I mean, I didn't play as much Elden Ring as you boys have, but I've been playing some of that for the podcast. But, you know, we have an episode coming up about it, so I don't want to give too much of the milk away on that cow. Let's see, what else is there? No, I can't think of anything.
Fair enough. But what's you, Nate? What you been up to, buddy?
Yeah, so between here and the last time we recorded, I think I got Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, which is the newest Monkey Ball game.
Oh, yeah.
That's currently only on the Switch. So I had a lot of fun playing that instead of Arcana Heart 3 LOVEMAX.
Can't say I blame you. How is it?
It's really good. Like, the thing about it is, like, I was kind of concerned because I'd only played the Monkey Balls on Steam before, because, like, better controller, right? Because Switch controllers are not the cream of the crop, if you will.
Pause. There's a Monkey Ball game on Steam?
There's 2.
Motherfucker. Okay.
Yeah, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I highly recommend to everyone. That's
wish list that shit.
That is a very good game. But the new one for Switch... It's really good, and I was really impressed because I played it with Joy-Cons for about 90% of the time I was playing it before I remembered, like, oh wait, Mikolov had sent me these really cool replacement Joy-Cons that actually have good sticks on them, and I played that for, like, the remaining part of the game, but, like, I was surprised it controlled really well for a game that really requires precision controls, and the story's whatever, but I sent a couple of screenshots to you boys of, like, there's a guy that calls himself a phantom thief, and then you're collecting these things that look like Chaos Emeralds. I'm like... Sega just doing Sega things. I'm really sad Kiryu's not in this one, because Kiryu is in Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, the one on Steam that you can get.
That's tremendous.
But yeah, I had a really good time with that. I think it's a really fun game. The level design, and it was a little bit easier, I'd say, than Banana Mania was, but still a lot of fun. I'd definitely recommend checking that out if you ever enjoyed a Monkey Ball game. Other than that, started watching... the show Taskmaster New Zealand. And so I know Willie's familiar with the UK version, which I think was the original version. And basically, it's a show where they get this group of 5 comedians together, and then there's the Taskmaster and his assistant. And the Taskmaster assigns these tasks out to the comedians that are on the show, and they have to do all these little stupid random shit. And it's like always ridiculous, and it is just so much fun. Like, I haven't laughed this hard watching a show in a very long time.
Can I tell you my favorite clever solution to a Taskmaster task I've seen on the UK version? Okay, so they were given this stuffed giraffe, and they were told that the winner would be the person who could make the giraffe pass through the smallest gap they could. And so most of them, tried to figure out ways to smush the giraffe up or whatever. But one lady instead called a cab, grabbed the giraffe, and took it to a store nearby, a Baby Gap that happened to be the smallest Baby Gap store in the UK, technically making it the smallest possible gap.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, and like that's
clever.
One of my favorite things is like the out-of-the-box solutions people come up with on that show for just the random stupid assignments they're given. Like, there was this one, I remember, on Taskmaster New Zealand where they were like, hang all of these clothes up on this clothesline. Most clothes win. You have 5 minutes. And so everybody's like scrambling to hang up all these clothes. One guy just grabs the basket that all the clothes were in and just hangs the basket on the clothesline and just won the entire thing because he was smart enough to realize I'm technically hanging these clothes.
That's about right.
And so, like, this show just had me rolling on the floor laughing all week. And like, there's 4 seasons of the New Zealand version out right now, and I'm on the season finale of season 4. Like, that's the only episode I have left, and I'm going to switch over to Australia or UK or something.
So have you explained the premise that basically what they do is they have these comedians, like, each of them lives in this house, and, like, not at the same time either. It's like one by one by one by one. And so it takes forever for them to film a season of it, too. Because that's the other thing, too, is I think that the contestants slowly go insane living in the house. And I think that really ends up helping the quality of the show. Because then when we actually watch the episodes, they're basically showing, like, a couple of the challenges, but all spliced together from all of them, and then all of the contestants are in a room together, so they're explaining what they were going through.
Really good show. I'd highly recommend it. Like, if you just need a laugh. I've heard they did do it 1 season in the US, I think, that I heard was awful, so would recommend against watching that one. But, like, apparently UK, I can vouch for New Zealand. Both of those are really, really good.
It kind of, well, I guess it's not technically the same thing. Cultaholic did a thing for when they did Clash in the Castle in Scotland, where they went and they did a video called WWE The Game, where basically Adam Pacitti was the taskmaster of sorts, and he would tell them, all right, you guys have a list of things you have to do. This gets you certain many points. Whoever gets the most points at the end of the day wins the day. And I only bring this up because there's been a thing for like 3 years now where Jack lost a competition and he was supposed to go, and he had made a comment one time that he thought it was weird to see people in like an Italian restaurant by themselves on a laptop. So his punishment was he had to go to an Italian restaurant and just sit there by himself on a laptop and do like work and look weird. So it's been 3 years and he hasn't done it, right? One of the tasks that they had for the day was to go and do that. And he was like, oh, finally I can knock 2 birds, 1 stone. And they go and they're power walking and they're like, all right, let's go to it. And they get there and they look across the street at this Italian restaurant, and the 2 other guys are sitting there at the table outside with a laptop and just wave at him. Like, they went and did it first so he couldn't fucking get it. And I was like, now that's comedy. Like, that's dude, Jack was,
he had made his peace with today being the last day.
So mad. He was seething, you could tell, and he ended up like apologizing to his partner like 5 minutes later in the video. He was like, I'm sorry, okay, I'm gonna calm down. Just give me a minute, I'll calm down. I promise.
Oh, that's good shit, man. That's the kind of reality shows that are just so good, because it's just so funny watching people have to do the most random bullshit for no reason, and then it's just so good.
Yeah, it's a show that it's not quite like that. It's a bit different, but it's a show that, like, I cannot believe that they're still milking the tit of it is Impractical Jokers. That's just been on for a long time for like a practical joke show. Like, I'm impressed.
I believe that because I was staying with a friend at the hospital, and there was just constantly marathons of Impractical Jokers every night, and I don't remember a repeat episode.
Dude, it's like that's all True TV shows. I think it's True TV.
Sounds right.
It's just that now. Like, like that's their most popular show, so why not? Kind of goes back to the thing we were talking about on Patreon, where it's like FX or FXX just shows The Simpsons like all the time. It's always a Simpsons marathon because why not? They have so many Simpsons episodes. But I guess that just leaves me. Did you have more you wanted to touch on, Nate?
No, I think that's about all I had for this week.
All right. Well, I've had an interesting couple weeks, ups and downs with things going on with the family and stuff like that. But so I ended up getting more money through like an inheritance, quote unquote, thing than I thought. I don't know why it ended up being way more than it was gonna be. That's a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo I don't need to get into. What I can tell you is I'm going to put most of it into savings, into CDL type things, so we can accrue interest and my money can make me money while it's just chilling. He's nuts. See,
You gotta take him when you get him. Sorry, I know he's a serious topic.
I thought CDL stood for crusty dick lickers.
I thought it stood for commercial driver's license.
I like CD.
That wasn't a joke. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, what is he talking about?
I think it's a CDL that I'm thinking of. It's like a credit dividend. I don't know. It's some mumbo jumbo. But anyway, but I did decide to take a little chunk of it and spoil myself because I've been going through it. And I felt like I was just like, I need a refresh. I want to change my room around. I want to get new stuff in here. So I ordered myself a new desk. I'm going to have a nice L-shaped desk coming in that I'm going to have in here. Yeah, it's going to be the loser desk. L for love. One of the funniest fucking things in Dodgeballs that scene is L for love. Also, fun fact, that guy is Bill Dotrey from King of the... Like, first time I ever heard him say, we can play dodgeball. I was like, that's Bill. You can't tell me otherwise. That is Bill. So yeah, I got me a new desk coming. I got me these new headphones that are like studio quality for editing. So when I start doing more music and stuff, they're better for that.
Sure aren't going to use them to increase the quality of this podcast.
Actually, you guys sound very
what quality?
I don't know how to explain like the spatial sound of these, but like I was listening to Anders' manga earlier, Rosaries and What Requiems. I sent y'all that song the other day, and the way these earbuds play the music, it just sounds like I can hear it directly in the center of my head, like in my head. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just cool. I got myself a TV that's actually worth a shit. So that's cool. So now I don't have to have 3 screens running on my computer with one just playing YouTube all the time and pulling my resources. I can just run YouTube on my TV.
Pretty sick.
Or whatever. I got a new computer coming in, a new computer chair, because this one is actually a dining chair on wheels type thing that looks like a computer chair. Unless my grandpa just bought 4 computer chairs for the dining room. That wouldn't surprise me. But it's just not... I don't know. I have a big ass and I like to have a little more room. So I got me a nice, like, big guy chair coming in.
Oh, yeah.
I got me a new computer coming. I went balls in, bro. Like, I wanted to get a computer that I'm not going to have to upgrade it for like 5 years. I don't want to touch it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Unless I'm adding more storage to it. And the only other cool thing, because I know that this isn't like super duper interesting, but like the only other thing is tomorrow I got a Quest 3 coming.
Hell yeah, man.
So I
know me, you, and Mikolov all have them now, so now we need to get the 4 of us together, because Willie can still play, but do the 3 of us in VR on Phasmophobia, and Willie can just laugh at us freaking out so much more than we normally would because we're in VR.
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to see how weirdly animated you guys are, because I feel like the VR players tend to be a lot more interesting looking in general.
I want to do the first time we go in the lighthouse in VR, because it's VR.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been there, and we've never been there.
Yeah,
we haven't either,
you guys
actually.
Haven't done it yet either?
We haven't played it yet.
Perfect. fucking perfect. Go in there and actually explore. Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps.
We have to get Mikolov in on this, though. That's 100%. Because I've never played this game with him before, and I think it would be hilarious.
Here's the thing: if he doesn't own it, I will buy it.
I would too.
That game full price is $13.99.
Yeah, dude. Like I would happily buy that for him.
We have gotten so much enjoyment out of that game for it being as cheap as it is for an indie game. Like, but also, from what at least according to the Steam store, sometimes they're tagged weird. Forewarned, which is the Phasmophobia but in Egyptian tombs, has a VR mode, and Devour, the one with the creepy girl that crawls around Spider Girl in that one level. When you got to get the eggs, that one has a VR mode as well. Apparently Subnautica does. There was like a lot of games that I was looking that I'm like, oh, that's good. That'll be cool to check out. So I look forward to that. And I think I'm going to take your advice and just put Beat Saber on the actual headset. Because you said that's the best way to deal with latency.
I believe it is, because I've had it on Steam and on my Quest itself, and it plays so much better on the Quest. And like I said in our chat, I think it could just be a Wi-Fi issue, but at the same time, I'd rather you be able to get that good gameplay in. Yeah.
One that I saw on Steam that I had to wish list that I've heard you talk about was Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude, that game, I went and watched a little video. I was like, oh, this looks awesome.
It's so fun, dude.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But, enough about the stuff that I got coming. I'm sure that I even forgot to mention things, but that's okay because who gives a shit, really? I'll be posting pictures of it and stuff. I did get a clickety clackety good keyboard, and I can't wait. You guys are gonna hear me type during episodes now. I can fit in with the group. And but boys, we played a game, kinda. We did play it. We're gonna try to get what we can out of this because it's not quite King of Fighters. No. But we played. Oh, I'll click on the wrong thing. Okay, yeah, there we go. Arcana Heart 3. So, actually, hold on. The official title of the one we played.
Yeah, give us the full title.
Arcana Heart 3, LOVEMAX 6 stars, Xtend with 5 exclamation, which bothers me.
I thought it was 6. Oh no!
Just make it.
It should be 6.
Wikipedia might be wrong. Let me reference Steam.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. The Wikipedia article is wrong. Never believe Wikipedia ever. So it is Arcana Heart 3, LOVEMAX 6 stars, 6 exclamation points, Xtend.
Ooh, scared me. I thought I typed it in wrong on the show announcements.
But
the exclamation mark police were going to come and take your head, dude.
The wiki, let me just read it as the wiki says. Arcana Heart 3, or Arcana Heart is a 2011 2D arcade fighting game developed by Team Arcana.
What'd you say the year was? What year was it?
2011 was when the original came out. Published by Arc System Works. It is the third entry in the Arcana Heart series following the events of Arcana Heart 2. The game went through localization tests in Japan starting in late 2009 and was officially released on console in 2011, January 13th. P-Cube released an English version in Europe on August 19th, 2011, both for the 360 and the PlayStation 3. An American PlayStation Network only version was released April 19th, 2011 by Axis Games. An update called Arcana Heart 3 LOVEMAX with 5 exclamation points is the one that won the poll. But we ended up going with the most current version because I figured that would be the best experience. But we'll talk about that.
I mean, I'm sure the difference is like 2 new characters or something and a couple of balance patches.
So
because this company is kind of a little notorious for pushing balance patches as entire new games.
Ooh, that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
But you're correct because the update Arcana Heart 3 LOVEMAX was released with rebalanced gameplay and new game modes that was released in Japan in May 8th, 2013 for arcades and later released for the PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 3, and Microsoft Windows, which is, I have it on Steam.
Who's playing fighting games on a Vita?
I mean, dude, there was Mortal Kombat 2 for the Game Boy, so I have to imagine it's a better experience than that.
Yeah, and be hard not to.
And that was followed by Arcana Heart 3 LOVEMAX 6 stars Xtend, which was released.
Oh, Nate, you actually reminded me of one of my favorite game glitches, which is it's either Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 or Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the Game Boy Advance has a glitch in it where when the male characters jump, they let out Shiva's scream sound, and Shiva isn't even in that version.
That's amazing.
I was wrong. It was followed by Arcana Heart 3 LOVEMAX 6 stars, which was released in arcades on December 4th, 2014, and later released in Windows in 2017. And the latest updated version is Arcana Heart 3 LOVEMAX 6 stars Xtend. So this game's been released 4 times.
Okay.
And that is the version that we've played. It was announced April 24th, 2019, released April 30th, 2021 for Microsoft Windows, and December 15th, 2023 for arcades on EXA-Arcadia? Never heard of it. Adding 3 more characters who were originally meant to be DLC characters in the original LOVEMAX 6 stars update, despite Team Arcana no longer working with Examu after the team's former parent company dismissed from video game business at the end of February 2020. That's right. Their parent company just went, you know what, we're done with video games. And they were just like, well.
We make ladders now.
You know.
Actually, I think they ended up going, I don't remember if it was them. I do remember reading some video game company that was pretty big, ended up getting out of the game and just making wires.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Like electrical wires.
Me and my dad were riding.
It's one you've definitely heard of, one that made a lot of NES games. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Might have been Sunsoft, actually.
My dad and I are riding down the road in Gainesville, and then we just see a Suzuki, like, SUV.
Oh, no, it was Vic Takai. It was Vic Takai.
Like, Suzuki car?
Yeah, dude.
I was like, don't they make motorcycles? He's like, my dad goes, yeah, motorcycles, cars, guitars. They make all kinds of shit.
Yep. I knew a person that drove a Suzuki one time, and, like, if a big dude sat in a Suzuki car, that car would sink.
You can imagine like Mr. Incredible just. But yeah, that's basically the summary of the wiki of like all the times this has been released and shit. So let's go through first impressions, boys. Willie, when you loaded this up, what did you think, man? How'd you feel?
I really I saw the character select screen and I was like, having a little trouble telling these people apart, but man, there's a lot more different stuff than I expected. And I was just kind of going through like, okay, we got a nun, we got a witch, we got a different witch, we got a samurai lady, we got like a shrine maiden or something, I don't know. And then even then, when I actually got into my first fights, I'm like, oh, this character's even weirder and quirkier than they looked like on the character select screen.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. I guess we should specify, because we haven't mentioned yet, all female cast in this game.
Yeah.
No dudes, all girls.
That's why we joked about it being a waifu fighter. Although I feel like a lot of the characters are like not necessarily intended to be like particularly attractive or whatever. Like there's some like kids and monster. Well, no, I was gonna say the monsters. I'm like, actually, the monsters are kind of hot, but whatever.
Yeah, I strictly call it a waifu fighter because it's all females. Like,
yeah, we're just being problematic for the fun of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm being difficult for the sake of being difficult. Nate, what about you? What was your first impression loading up, bud?
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool. Like, it had a very big opening sequence. It was all right. And then, like, the first thing I did was loaded right up into story mode. And the first thing I really noticed about that was every character has its own little story mode that they can go through. I think they all lead down to the same path in the end, from what I could tell. But I thought that was pretty cool. But the thing is, like, the cutscenes, eventually I stopped caring and just wanted to start skipping through them.
I wanted to say I felt like the story mode was fucking incomprehensible.
It's absolutely incomprehensible. But, like, you know...
Maybe they expect you to play the whole series or something, but there's all these organizations and historical events and all that they reference all the time.
But as far as first person goes, I got in, started playing it a little bit. I thought, yeah, this is fine. This is nothing too crazy bad about it, but nothing that's really jumping out to me as making it going to stand out amongst the other heavier hitting fighting games that I've played.
Yeah, for sure. So, and Willie got to witness this. My first experience with this game was I loaded it up, and it was running at the refresh rate of my monitor, which is 165 hertz. So this game was running at 165 frames a second.
That's what was going on. Okay.
And it was real fast. Real fast. Like, I loaded into a match, and I'm like fighting, because I'm thinking maybe it's an arcade game. It's just supposed to be fast. And then, like, once people started joining in, like Willie and I believe Adam, we were just like, is this supposed to be running that quick? No. So I ended up having to I look it up and go into NVIDIA GeForce. No, I'm sorry, excuse me. NVIDIA control panel. And adding the game exe to the control panel and then using that to set, you can limit frame rate in that. So I limited it to 60 frames, ran buttery smooth after that.
I wonder what would have happened had you tried to play online with somebody. Like if you and Willie had loaded into a match together while you still had your settings like that.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh, that's a good question.
No.
Anyway, that's just a thought that crossed my mind.
Yeah. I imagine we would have gone out of sync or something and it would have just been like completely wrong.
I probably would have got wrecked is what would have happened. But yeah, that was my first kind of experience with it. And then loading in, I was kind of like, I don't know who to choose to play through as, which kind of leads to,
can I give another of my first impressions gameplay wise? I thought that it took me a while to actually start using the dash button. And until then, man, I thought the characters were unacceptably slow horizontal movement. Like if you did a diagonal jump, you went forward 1 foot and up like 15.
Yeah. I didn't realize there was a dash button. I just kept double tapping forward and I would kind of just scoot. And yeah, it got to be like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, it was like, come on, dude, I'm just trying to get to the fucking opponent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that kind of leads me to like what characters we were using and stuff. Who jumped out to you, Nate? Like, who was the one that you first tried out?
Yeah, so the first one that jumped out to me, because like I laughed a little bit when Willie was saying the kinds of characters where he specifically said like, there's witches and demons, and the first character that I played at was Yoriko Yasuzumi, which is one of the witch characters that has this big staff that has a cat's head on it, and apparently the cat had a name too, but I already forgot what it was. But like, it was just funny. Like that character, it stuck out to me as a really funny and interesting character, and I liked playing as her pretty well. She seemed kind of slow, but she had like a lot of long range attacks, kind of thing. Like that staff could really poke out there and hit people.
Yeah, I played this game a couple times with Laxby, a friend of mine, and Yoriko's staff gave me more trouble than literally any other character in the game.
Real quick, Nate. Michelangelo is the name of her staff Kitty.
And the other character that jumped out to me, and the one that I played the second most of, was Clarice Lanza, which is a demon nun type character. And so that's why it was so funny when Willie said demons and witches, because those are the characters that stood out to me the most when I started playing.
Word? What about you, Will?
Yeah, Clarice was actually the one I picked when I first started playing too. So yeah, she's a demon nun. Like I just thought that was a fun little dichotomy or whatever. And then I started playing the game, like reading her dialogue, and it's like she's like very wholesome acting or whatever. But other people seem to be really worried about her, just being around, which I thought was pretty cool. And there was also like a puppeteer character I used who I already forgot what the name was, but she carries around like a briefcase that has a mannequin inside of it.
Liselette Archenbach, the Crimson-Eyed Criminal.
That sounds... Yeah, that looks right. Yeah, like Liselette Archenbach. That is really hard to say. Liselott? Okay.
She lies
anyway,
a lot.
And that was fun too. Sir Liselott of the square table. Yeah, and like that's fun because I always find puppeteer characters in fighting games to be interesting, even though I'm never any good at them. Like I absolutely envy any like Smash Bros. Player who knows where Rosalina's Luma is at any point in time.
What that tells me is, if I ever convince you guys to play Final Fantasy XI for the show for some reason, Willie will eventually probably unlock Puppet Master and use that as his job.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like it's more of a fighting game interest to me than an RPG one, because, like, in an RPG, I just select an object from the menu, right? Like, I mean, I know MMOs aren't quite the same, but it's just, they're an interesting way to fight, because I feel like they're very frustrating to deal with, too, since literally everything you're doing is some kind of disjoint.
Yeah. So, when I first played, to the surprise of absolutely no one who looks this game up, the first character that I chose to play as is Mei Fang.
Yep.
Who, of all of the girls in this game, I think I would waifu up the most. Maybe her or Mayori. for two very big reasons.
Four.
4. Yeah, 4. Actually, and now I'm looking at Mildred, maybe 6. But but yeah, Mei Fang basically is your Chun-Li, your Mai. She's the hot, sexy martial arts character who has her ass out.
So apparently a Chinese android as well.
And she is a robot. Yep. And she is controlled by like an older like lady. So like when you come out, it's like there's an old lady and Mei Fang appears and she bows and the lady's like got a controller and then jumps off the screen. I think she had a controller. My brain might just be making that up, but I know there's an old lady there. And yeah, so I got about halfway through and I got the Vice, who is one of the characters. Her name is literally just White in German because she has white hair, but her name is Vice. And she kicked my ass multiple times. So I ended up going and turning the difficulty down. And I was like, well, let me try another character. So listener of the show, Kana, had recommended to me Konoha. And I was like, oh, well, let me try out Konoha, who is like this little... How do I describe Konoha? She's like a little ninja chick, but she's also like a cat or like a dog human hybrid thing.
Sounds good to me.
But she kicks ass. I went through the game and I beat it with her. My favorite quote from her, because you get the quotes before and after you do the fights. When she fought Mei Fang and you beat Mei Fang, Konoha's quote is, "Celestial stones, are they any more delicious than your meat buns, Miss Mei Fang?" And I'm sure she means literal meat buns. But I was like, booty joke. And it made me giggle. So I was like, okay, Konoha's cool with me. So I beat the game with Konoha. And then I went through and I beat it with a character named Fiona Mayfield. Now, Fiona Mayfield is just like this unassuming looking little maid chick, right?
Oh, yeah. I was very, very surprised to see what she was packing.
And you pick her, and she shows up in the battle, and she's got like this Cloud Buster sword level of just massive fucking sword that she can barely wield. She drags it behind her.
Oh, yes. I was loving the animations for her because there's a move where she kind of spins the sword around, and basically she gets more rotation than it. It looks like the dual orbit of Pluto and Charon, man. It's awesome.
Well, so with her, she's got a move where if you're moving towards your opponent and you hit the B button, or I guess it would be circle depending on the controller you're using, but it was B for me. You hit that, she just takes that thing and lugs it over her head and swings it forward. And I used that move almost exclusively.
It had really good, it had a really good hitbox.
Super good range. So I would hit the enemy and they would block, and then they'd try to jump and I would hit them and it would knock them down to the ground and then I would do the ground spin attack and repeat. And I beat the game in 15 minutes with her just doing that.
I want to say, I feel like anti-air attacks in this game are really satisfying because you get a little moment to line them up usually. And a lot of them you can follow up on with a true combo and it feels good.
No.
The game has a lot of floatiness to it, but it also means beating someone up that just made a stupid jump is always fun.
I will say too, and this is something that y'all probably experienced, this game's got ridiculous combos that you just randomly... I don't know how I did any of them, but I'm playing with Konoha, and all of a sudden I hit him, and I knock him up into the air, and then I hit him 99 times. And then she jumps above him and it's like, and then punches him, boom, 100 punch, and boom, knocks him down to the ground. It doesn't even do a ton of damage. It just does a normal combo's worth of damage. I'm like, okay, we're working with Disgaea numbers here.
Yeah.
But there's some hilarious achievement names because you just do these moves. Like, Willie, you got one that I'm looking at right now. The smell of napalm.
Yes. So if you use the tank Arcana and blast someone out of an attack, basically, with its special move.
And then I got Meet Irresistible Force, which has successfully used Shinji's E button attack to break through an opponent's guard. I don't know how I did that. Can't tell you. This is button masher extraordinary.
Yeah, I didn't even realize there was a guard break mechanic in this game, actually.
That's one thing I want to touch on in this game, too, is I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, this game did not really have a very robust training mode, which I feel like a game that has seemingly this many mechanics really needs to have, because, you said, I just went in and bashed buttons because that's what this game felt like.
Yep.
There was a meter on the screen that I never figured out what it meant. There's a little circle in the top right and top left that said 100%.
I'm glad I have no idea what that is. I actually did figure out there were some moves I could do, supers, that I figured out kind of how to do by rotating my stick a lot that drained that meter, but I couldn't tell you exactly how that meter built or worked.
All the supers I could figure out drained to the bottom meter. The 3-prong one that looks like
I never figured out how to drain that meter.
Tried just almost any character down to towards A plus B.
Yeah. This game.
I'm going to be honest with you listeners. And I think I mentioned this to you guys before we started recording. If I've already talked about this, I'm sorry. It's why they call it dope. I played this game. I loaded it up. I played as Mei Fang that one night. And then I quit out and I think I streamed Elden Ring for a little bit. And then I loaded it up the next day and I beat the game with Konoha. Didn't play it for a week and a half. 2 days ago, I'm like, I should probably put some more time into that game before we do the episode. And I loaded it up and I played it and I beat it with Fiona and then quit out of it. And when we're done recording, I will probably uninstall it.
I mean, yeah, I think that says a lot too. And I don't think it's just because the game for next week is Elden Ring is the reason that we felt that way. Because, like, I had a very similar experience. I loaded this up pretty early on, played through it, got to what I think was the final boss on my first run. Just like, I'm kind of annoyed with this, and I'm just going to close out of it. And then started playing a shit ton of Elden Ring, and then came back to, I think, yesterday or the day before, played it, got to about the same point again with the other character, and said, yeah, I'm just not really feeling this one at that level. And, like, I think the reason behind that is because there's just so many good fighting games out there that, like, it's hard to compete with. And the newer ones that do it really well, because I know that a lot of people love Skullgirls, which is a really good fighting game. And then, shoot, my brain's not working. And it's not even why they call it dope.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, and there was a lot of time where I'm playing this game like, these animations are alright, but man, I bet it'd be even prettier if it was Guilty Gear.
And the thing is, like, waifu fighter is a cool idea, having a bunch of waifus, but I already have Chun-Li, Mai, Melina.
Melina's a bit of a dangerous one.
I wanted to see if y'all catch that one.
It's like, I just want Sindel to choke me with her hair while we're doing it.
But see, that's the thing. There's just so many other good ones out there that already exist in other fighting games. It's like, and I've been Chun-Li since Street Fighter 2 on the Sega Genesis. Let's be.
And I will say, when I was streaming the game, Adam was watching, and he goes, "Oh man, Dalton, this game's on sale. I'm going to buy this for you. It's a pretty good fight." And he bought me Blaze Blue.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one too.
It might be Blaze Blue. Chrono Phantasma Extend is the version he bought me, which thank you very much, Adam. I do very much appreciate it. I can't wait to check it out because I think he felt bad that we were playing Arcana Heart. So he got me a good fighting game. He's like, here you go, man.
I've definitely wanted to check out the BlazBlue series, and I think it's kind of similar to Guilty Gear, where it's really high resolution pixel art. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hold on, let me send a quick screenshot to our little show chat. But I will say, it's one of those games that I thought was based on an anime.
That looks really good, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
There might be an anime based on the game, but the game is just super, super anime just for the style of it. And I'm like, okay, I can respect that.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes it difficult about this game, too, is like I think we've only played one other fighting game for this show, which was King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match, which is by all accounts a fucking fantastic fighting game.
Way better.
Yeah, it's kind of... I think what's really struggling for me about this game is I hate this word because it's one of those words like overrated that means that the person that's talking about it has no freaking actual constructive analysis of the game whatsoever. But it's just very mid. There's just so many... it isn't bad enough to make funny jokes about, but it isn't really like... It never caught me enough that I was like, have something to gush about other than I thought that the list of characters, I thought the weird characters were kind of neat. Like, I liked the girl that swims in a slime the whole time you fight her. That's insane. Who comes up with that shit?
I appreciate that they have the weird characters and none of them, like, at least none of the ones that were younger felt sexualized like some things have, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
true.
Mei Fang obviously looked hot, but she also looked like an adult. Yep. You know what I mean? There's a big difference, you know, so I appreciate that as well because there are some weird vibes from Japanese games every now and then.
Yeah. And I'm glad we're all kind of on the same page about it. I think this game was fine. Like, I think that if this was the only fighting game I could play, and it was the only one I had available, yeah, I could put some time into it. But it's not. That's really what hurts it, is that there's other fighting games that exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like for what you guys said, the character design, I think, is the peak of this game. I think the characters are really neat. I think they did some really cool, unique things with them. But at the end, it's just not that interesting to play.
And I almost wonder if the story is more interesting in its native language. You know, if maybe there's...
I do feel like there is probably some translation difficulty there. Because this is
very much a story that I think we might have already mentioned this, but they expect you to have played Arcana Heart 1 and 2 because the story continues, which is odd to me for fighting games. Like, I'm used to Mortal Kombat doing that, but I don't remember Street Fighters like having a continuing story. I could be wrong.
I feel like they generally go for at least like a reset at some point. Like, okay, these characters did this in the previous game, but we don't really care too much about the actual continuing story. Because like I said, I don't think Mortal Kombat's ever been too deep into its continuing lore game between game. And I think Street Fighter maybe has a little bit, but then they make their new iterations like 3, 5, 6, where the old story's kind of just out the window. We're just doing the new thing. Like, sure, Shadowloo still exists, but that's about the biggest continuation in Street Fighter that I can really think of. I'm sure there's probably some lore enthusiast out there that can call me out and tell me I'm very, very wrong for saying that, but I don't care.
The Street Fighter lore is all told out of order, too. Like, the games take place in a really strange order compared to how they're numbered.
Google says, did you mean...
Like, I think... Like, I think 3 was the most latest game in the continuity until 6 came out. So, like, Alpha took place between 1 and 2, and then the other 2 took place between 2 and 3.
That's like the lore for the King of Fighters games is only canon in the, like, base King of Fighters.
They make, like, little trilogies
and then
almost.
Like, Ultimate Match and all of those are, like, what-if scenarios.
Which is cool. I like that way they handle that. Because like you said, like, King of Fighters, I know 15 is probably the newest one still, right? And it sure has its own story that's not going to matter fuck all by 16.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like you said, there's a reset. Mortal Kombat's been good at that. Where they had Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and 11 told a nice story arc. And then they did Mortal Kombat 1, boom, reset everything. New timeline completely. They're working from a brand new slate now, which is interesting. But sometimes that's needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just is.
Yeah, I also feel like the kind of lore that takes place in stuff like video games and comic books and stuff, they do a bad job of sticking with resets. So I start to wonder if like stuff from the original timeline is just going to start appearing in the Mortal Kombat 1 timeline with no explanation. Because I feel like that definitely happened in like the DC New 52, even though I didn't read too many of them.
I will say playing a fighting game like this one does make me appreciate the ones that have really stood out over time even more. Like, because like I look back at even like Mortal Kombat's not my favorite fighting game system of all time. I think it's good and I think it's really good at what it is, but it's not my favorite fighting game system of all time. But playing this makes me look at Mortal Kombat like, yeah, they had some really good ideas at least.
Yeah, there's a certain meatiness to the Mortal Kombat combat, you know? Not necessarily even like strategic meatiness, but the actual game feel, you know what I mean? Like when you hit somebody, you know you hit them. Exactly.
It's more weighty. Whereas in this one, the only time I felt weighty was when I was playing as Fiona, swinging that big sword. And even then, But here's how I'm going to look at this game. We're in an arcade, and there's a bunch of fighting games. Mortal Kombat and all of those are taken. I walk up to this. I stick my quarter in because it's 1990s and they still only cost a quarter. And I put a quarter in and I play a session of it. I'm not going to be like upset. I'm not going to be like, damn, that quarter was wasted. But I'm also not going to sit there and spend $5 to play.
You know what that sounds a lot like to me, Dalton? Our opinions on Sega bass fishing.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
And I think that really tells on our way we played this game too. Is that's kind of the way we played it. We sat down, played a session of it. We're done after that session, and we're ready to move on to something else. So I think that's actually a very simple game to Sega bass fishing in that way.
Yeah, it's a fine arcade machine, but I don't feel any reason to play it on my huge ass Steam library, you know?
Yeah. Like, this is going to give the game less credit than it deserves, because it does deserve a little more credit than this. But like, I could see a game like maybe the original Arcana Heart showing up on like a buy this bootleg system that comes with 50 fighting games or like arcade games on it, and one of them's like Arcana Heart 2 or some shit. You know, like I could see that, but I don't think this stands up against the Titans, and I think we've kind of gotten that across. So like, I'm curious, boys, is there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on about it?
I just want to say, though, I mean, it is clearly a game that people worked very hard on, so I'm not trying to, like, throw it under the bus and say it's mid because it was not a high-effort game. Like, clearly the character designs, the combat mechanics, like, they put a lot of time into the animation and stuff.
Sprites are great.
I mean, sprites are great, yeah. I wish they were, like, higher resolution, but that's just because I've been spoiled by, games that took place after 2011, which is why I asked about the year again early on.
You say that, but like, what year did Street Fighter Alpha 3 come out? And the resolution on those sprites was insane. I'm like, I think one of the issues I had with it, and I'm usually not this guy, was I think the sprites were actually too small in this game. There was too much open stage and too small of characters filling that stage. And the stages themselves weren't very interesting. Like, the backgrounds, like, if you're in Mortal Kombat, you're in Street Fighter, those places you're fighting in feel alive every time. It's like, I can still see Chun-Li's stage from Street Fighter 2 if I close my eyes. Like, it's that vivid to me.
Dude, that's like, I can still picture that, like just playing Mortal Kombat Trilogy back in the day, which I don't remember exactly which one it was the original, but when you're fighting in Shao Kahn and he's the 2D and he's sitting on the throne in the background and like Katana's tied up or whatever next to him, like Jabba and what's her face. Whole Star Wars fans are mad at me. Princess Leia. That's her.
I was going to jump on you. I don't even know if I consider myself a fan anymore. I was about to be like, are you sure you're fit to do a podcast?
Right? I'm not nerdy enough. No, Princess
Leia. It's like
Leia.
those little details that the kings of the genre really pull off that, kind of go by the wayside here.
The desert in Mortal Kombat where Cyrax is just in the desert in the background, just caught in the sand. And then you're just wondering, well, what the hell happened to him? That's environmental storytelling. Yep. In a fucking 90s arcade fighting game. You know what I mean?
And like, you know what else really makes a fighting game a fighting game? The soundtrack.
Yeah.
I don't remember this game having a conspicuously bad soundtrack, but I could not hum a tune off of it if you asked me to.
Which I think goes back to it being mid.
Yeah. It's like the presentation was there with the character designs and the art with the characters. But I think that everything else just does not reach that level of potential. Like, gameplay doesn't. Design, like a set design, I'm going to call it, doesn't. And the soundtrack just isn't up to snuff for a fighting game.
I'll give you that. I think maybe we've been spoiled by how great a lot of the Capcom and SNK soundtracks are. But even that being said, that means that's the standard for the genre.
Capcom and SNK, but Midway, I think, did it too. Mortal Kombat had very memorable sound design.
True. Just, if you go for all day with sound design, including like voice clips especially, then yes, for sure.
Toasty.
Yeah,
and I always think of like Guilty Gear. Like, Guilty Gear is known for
Guilty Gear
incredible
goes hard, man. Like, that's a game I haven't even put that much.
There's a reason half the characters are named after metal bands in that game
too. But like, if you send me a link to a song from that soundtrack, I'm listening to it. It's good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's do some ratings, boys. I know, and Jeff, I know this is a shorter episode because it was a kind of a short game, but I can almost guarantee listeners, before we get into questions here, that our next episode is going to be quite the doozy, because we got Dane. We're talking about a long game. We're going to be talking about Elden Ring, and I believe that he has got something prepared for us as well. So it's going to be a much longer one. So don't worry, Jeff. You'll get your long boy. You know, you like the tall ones. But let's get into some ratings, boys, and then we'll do some questions. So I think for one, I'm going to go first for once.
Wow.
I enjoyed this game for what it is. We have made it very clear that it is mid, right? Which makes me want to put it just straight at a 5. But I liked the character design a lot. Mm-hmm. And I liked the quirkiness of the characters. And while I didn't particularly care about the story, they did have some quips that made me laugh now and then. I'm going to let that bump it up. So this is going to get a 5.82.
It's
what
it's
the fuck
a
is
real
that?
number. I like it.
I mean, it's not an imaginary number. You're right. It is a real number.
I remember me and Ryan used to do shit like that. We're going to give this 6.8714, but no. No, yeah, I'm gonna give it like whatever I said, 5.82, like just or a 5.75, just almost 6, almost 6, but not quite.
I think this game was extremely accurately named for our rating scale. I think it's fine. I think it's better than just okay. I think it's fine. I think that this gets.
I see where you're going with this.
Arcana Hearts 3. Crap, I forgot the name. Hold on. Arcana Hearts 3 LOVEMAX 6 stars out of 10 Arcanas. Sure, I'm going to be lazy with that part.
That's really good, Nick. Well done. I pretty much agree. I was kind of looking at numbers between 6 and 7, and then the more we talked about, the more I realized nothing really stands out except for character design. And unfortunately, most fighting games have pretty good character design too. So, like, you know, I could be playing this, or I could be playing. It's like I could be playing Guilty Gear. I'm not even like Nathan said. We don't even have that many hours on Guilty Gear. We don't barely understand the mechanics, but it's still freaking fun. And the presentation is, of course, killer. So in the end, I'm also going to agree with y'all's numbers and give it just a straight up 6 demon nuns out of 10 puppy girls.
All right. In the interest of Satan, I'm going to raise my number to 6. So this game gets straight 6.
I think that's a first. I think that's a podcast first.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think we've ever agreed on any number except 10.
The waifu of the beast. It's great.
Yeah, right. I was about to say.
Also, I want to say it is really awkward for me to pronounce her name Clarice, because it reads Clarice. I want to say it in the French way so much, but her last name's Italian, and if you listen to them talk, they do pronounce it Clarice. So I do think it's supposed to be an Italian name that's spelled the same way, which is just really weird to me.
Hello.
Also, yes, I definitely had, the moment I saw her name was Clarice, I got some Hannibal Lecter feelings.
Imagine just...
And I've never even watched a Hannibal Lecter thing. It's just a lot of her, you know, those scenes are pop culture, cultural nostalgia, or a cultural memory at this point.
Hello, Clarice.
All right, you knuckleheads. Let's move into some questions.
Did you say your name is Cerviche?
Some fava beans and a nice chianti.
Stupid. All right, we got to go to some questions.
This show sucks.
All right. This first question comes in from our dear listener, Kana, who asks, Arcana Heart 3, who is best girl, and why is it Konoha? Dalton, why don't you take this one first?
So
yes, you actually played as Konoha?
Konoha just was really quick and had some combos that put out a decent amount of damage and would hit a bunch of times. And I found it easiest... Other than Fiona, I found it easiest with Konoha to kind of pin your opponent in the wall and then just keep them there and just get them.
I do feel like her and Fiona were the characters that most conspicuously had some spice to use.
But I wouldn't say that is. I mean, as far as gameplay wise, I think that Konoha is probably the easiest for newbies. So I will say that that's best girl for fighting wise. But if I'm going best girl, like. Everyone knows what best girl is. I mean, who doesn't want a sexy android?
I mean, that's one of my favorite parts from Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, let's go.
That's what I'm saying. There it is.
Oh, yeah. I was so jealous that Krillin ended up with the sexy android. It just gave the rest of us hope. Are you kidding me? But then Krillin... Yeah, Krillin deserved a dub too, you know?
Represent the short king.
Also, I will go ahead and say, while we're recommending characters for first-time players, I really do think that Yoriko is really, really hard to get around, just because she has so much good spacing tools. Like, the fact that she can hit you from so far away with that cat staff is really helpful. Like, I struggled against Angelia against the CPU, but I struggled against a real human as Yoriko.
So who are your best girls?
Mine is Yoriko. I mean, she's a witch with a staff named Michelangelo that talks, who has a really funny, deep voice.
He does have a great voice. I gotta give him that. We were just talking about sound design, and the voice I do like good. The voice.
I just like her character design the best. That's just my favorite. That's the best girl for me.
I mean, the two characters that immediately caught my eye when I was going through the character select, like when I was just saying it earlier on the stereotypes I have for the characters, Demon Nun and Cat Witch. And since Nate took Cat Witch, I'm going to take the one I played as the most, and I'll be a Claricia de Lanza best girl. I mean, there's something about an evil nun that, not even evil, but a demonic nun that's just, you don't know what you're going to get out of that. And I like that. Yeah. And plus, she just seems really nice.
Like, I want to give a quick shout out to Vice. Because she just comes in as like a character. She's like in a suit and she's just like a badass who starts kicking the shit out of you. And she's got this long white hair. And I'm just like, she's all business, but freaking the sheets guaranteed. So shout out to her.
I would advise you to keep that Giant Bomb page open because if you click the character, you'll find out she's 14 years old.
Are you serious?
Got him. Yup.
Okay, we'll take everything back I just said. Fucking Japan, dude. No
info on Yoriko. I think Clarice is probably in her mid-30s.
Let me guess, May think.
She's a robot!
That's true, doesn't count.
You go with year of manufacture.
That's funny. All right, let's go ahead and move into the next question. The next one comes in from one Turtle Bear Man, who asks, what two seemingly opposing views do you hold at the same time? So, the reason I've thought of this is because I have one that just seems like an anomaly that I just hate both of these things very, very equally. These two things are, I hate having facial hair. It's just the worst. I really do not like having facial hair at all. It starts to itch if it grows out too long. It looks stupid if it gets to that length that mine is at right now between stubble and a beard. Yeah, I know, Willie, I see it. I just hate having facial hair. But the thing that I hate just as much is shaving. So yeah. I constantly get into this thing where it's like, I shave, and I'm like, yes, I don't have to shave again. And then my facial hair starts growing out, and I'm just like, it keeps growing, and I'm like, I hate this, but I don't want to shave because that also sucks. So I just grow until I can't help it anymore, and then I shave it, and it's just a vicious cycle that continues and continues.
That's fair.
Completely feel that.
Let's see. I think I think we need gun control, but I also feel like let people own guns if they want to own guns.
It's kind of complicated where it's like the reasonable compromise is actually really hard to come up with.
You can't drive a car without a license.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that probably is.
Sure, I'll get hate for that, but that's how I feel.
Fuck it. No, they need to be licensed. They need to if you want to go and buy even hunting rifles, bro, I feel like you should be mentally screened before you can get a firearm.
I mean, I have to go get my driver's license. I have to take an eye exam. I have to be able to prove, when I first got my license, I had to prove that I could do it at a decent rate that wouldn't kill people. I mean, it just makes sense, y'all. And my car is registered It would be cool if there was... Let's think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be cool if there was a firing test, but man, then how would you even get good? I guess you would need a learner's permit. You can't go rent one at the
That's a great idea.
Actually, come to think of it, that's kind of not unreasonable, yeah. I said it as a joke, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't suck.
It's funny, it's like, for driving, you need a license to accurately not hit things.
Yeah.
And then for your gun, you need to accurately hit things.
But see, I do respect guns. I think they're fine. I think a lot of people should have them, but I also think a lot of people should not. I don't want guns to just be a thing that law enforcement and the military have, because that gets weird too. But I do think there needs to be a measure in place to make sure shit doesn't go down like it's been going down constantly over and over again in this country for the last 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like...
I'm gonna go with a lighter one then. If you guys are gonna,
because mine was so hardcore.
I'm gonna do a food. Yeah, Nick, I'm still mad at you. Mainly because I have a 2 weeks growth mustache right now and it looks horrible. But I felt the need to shave the beard when I went in for a job interview, so now I just have not quite a mustache and it sucks. Mine is I think A1 sauce is delicious. And yet there is no food worth using it on.
I can see that, but I think there's some good exceptions and some good places to use it. Like, one of my favorite toppings to get on a Five Guys burger is A1 sauce.
Okay, I wasn't thinking about burgers, but now that you mention it, I did used to use them when I would make cube steaks on a George Foreman grill. Because that's not enough steak to really worry about the quality and be like, oh, well, you got to let it shine. You just throw that thing on George Foreman for 1 minute,
I feel that.
or Worcestershire sauce on it, and
I
it's
go
good.
to A1 when my steak is overdone. Just helps it with a little moisture.
Yeah.
But like,
I feel that, but that's
Yeah, I think A1 is a great sauce, but like you said, the applications for it, because steak is a standalone food. You just season it and cook it, or you marinate it and cook it. You shouldn't need to add anything else to it if you do it right the first time.
A1 is ketchup for it's like ketchup with booze in it. It's what it tastes like. It's good. It's good.
It's Dr. Pepper of ketchup.
I like it. But that's so legit, though, because like I love A1 on a burger, but I don't ever want it on my steak.
So, you know what? I don't feel like getting contacted from some agencies, so I'm not going to make the joke that I was about that question that you asked. So let's move on.
Okay. So our next question comes in from Adam, the man, the myth, the legend. He was revived and extincted. He asks, fuck zodiac signs. Who is your favorite corrupt video game corporation / military faction? And thank you, Dalton and Adam, for figuring out what all of these are, because in this picture, I would not have been able to identify over half of them. So the ones that we were able to identify were UAC from Doom, UNSC from Halo, Umbrella from Resident Evil, Aperture Science from Half-Life, Altera from Subnautica, which is a game I really want to play, Cerberus from Mass Effect, Combine from Half-Life Alyx, Shinra from Final Fantasy VII, Desperado from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, New Order from Wolfenstein, Murkoff from Outlast, Abstergo from Assassin's Creed, Aesir from Max Payne, Metal Gear Solid, Hyperion from Borderlands, Comstock from Bioshock Infinite, The Banished from Halo, Vault-Tec from Fallout, Terror Group from Escape from Tarkov, Arasaka from Cyberpunk 2077, Covenant from Halo, Ultor from Red Faction, Zerka from Star Wars The Old Republic, IMC or LMC from Titanfall, Wayland Yutani from Alien franchise, and Mayweather Security from Grand Theft Auto.
And I think the one that he couldn't find, I don't remember the name of it, but it was from Call of Duty.
Okay. It looks kind of like a Star Trek logo with a red Star Trek logo with a white triangle surrounding it, basically.
Yeah, it's some Call of Duty thing. I remember he couldn't find it, and I just became determined for like half an hour to figure out what it was. And thank you, Reddit. I finally did.
And I was going to say, it's a little bit late, but my favorite thing is during the month of June is when people turn these corporate logos from video games into the Pride logos. It's so funny every time.
Yeah.
But out of these, I honestly think my favorite is Umbrella from Resident Evil, because it's just so good. Like, it's so bad it's good, you know? Because, like, I don't know. I just really enjoy Umbrella.
It's a very at any cost type of organization.
And now that I'm looking at this, I have to make a quick correction. Aperture Science is not from Half-Life.
Oh, no, that's from Portal.
Oh, that's true. It's from the Half-Life
I was surprised to not see Black Mesa on here.
Yes, same. Just when I saw Aperture Science, I thought that would also
as soon as I read Aperture Science, my brain went, maybe Black Mesa. That was a joke. Ha fat chance.
And I should have caught that too, just by reading that. When I said Aperture Science, I really should have immediately corrected that to Portal instead of just said Half-Life.
Man, Murkoff is fucked up, but I don't think I would rate that amongst some of these heavy hitters. The group from Metal Gear Solid, like if it's like Sons of Liberty or whoever it is, that shit's pretty wild just because of the real world parallels that Kojima predicted fucking 10 years before they happened. That son of a bitch. Now I'm worried because Death Stranding is fucking terrible. What's going on in that world?
I had trouble not saying the one Desperado for Metal Gear Rising: Revenge. It's just because that game was so good. I love everything about it.
I think I gotta go because they are just straight evil. And the more you play the games and the more you read about the things that they were doing, they were fucking terrible. And it's Vault-Tec.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Like, god damn, dude. Like, they had, like, just for a quick instance, they had a vault that was full of people who were ex-drug addicts. And they put them in there and they got everybody clean. And then one day they just opened up this door that had been locked the whole time, and the room was full of chems.
Yeah, dude.
Just to see what happened. And then you end up going through there, and just either the people are coming at you and they're just like ravaged, drug crazed people, or they're all dead. It's fucking terrible. So fuck Vault-Tec. I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah. This is an interesting list because like some of these are like, you know, just evil corporations, and some of them, like the New Order. Isn't that just like the super Nazis?
Yeah, pretty much, if I remember right.
Everyone probably expects me to pick UAC because of how I am with Doom, but I actually wanted to go with Shinra just because, like you said with Vault-Tec, it starts off as a faceless corporation that may have some bad management, and then by the end you're like, oh man, everything about this place sucks.
And kind of on the point you made when I'm looking at this, there's a couple of different ones from Halo, and I'm like, Covenant, that's not a corporation, that's an alien species.
Yeah.
The Banished is also an alien species. I'm like, okay, so some of these are corporations. It's basically like your evil entities.
I just feel like Umbrella really just represents that evil corporation so well.
Fuck, 100%.
Yeah. It's really hard to argue with, like, because I like Black Mesa and Aperture a lot too, but I feel like they are almost directly parodies of that kind of evil thing, whereas I think Umbrella is playing it pretty straight.
All right. So I will, because I could honestly see Umbrella doing the Pride logo in June, the way that I always see it done. It's just so poetic. I like it. So the next one comes in from our very own Dalton, who sent us one that says, one has to go. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or Mario Kart 64?
Well, this one's an easy one for me. There isn't a better Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but Diddy Kong Racing is a better Mario Kart 64.
I think that's a very good comparison. I was just going to say, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is like a top Sonic game. It's like probably better than... I have trouble deciding if I like Sonic 2 or Sonic 3 and Knuckles better, which is wild to say because Sonic 3 and Knuckles has introduced my favorite Sonic character of all time. So, and Mario Kart 64... Man, it was a good game, but like you said, Diddy Kong Racing was better, and there are so many more installments on the Mario Kart franchise now that outshine 64 to an insane degree. Like Mario Kart Wii, even Mario Kart 8 to an extent, I like better than 64. I'm just going to get rid of 64. Bye!
So my thinking with this was, there are a plethora of other kart games. There's Nickelodeon Kart Racer, there's that Disney Kart Racer,
Crash Team
Racing. Fuck, you can play Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and there's Combat Kart, and it's a kart racer with the Mortal Kombat games that it's just built into a Mortal Kombat. There's Garfield Kart. There's so many other kart games, right? There's only one Sonic, and
and we are running dangerously low on good 2D Sonic games anyway. I mean, Sonic Mania at least gave us a little extra, but there's a lot of good kart racing games.
Yeah, and even the mediocre kart racing games probably hold up better now than Mario Kart 64 does. Fight me. I don't care. The 64 didn't age well. The PlayStation didn't age great, but it aged better than the 64 did. And I will die on that hill.
I'm inclined to agree. I don't think it's as extreme a difference as other people say, but definitely the fewer polygons but much better texturing on the PlayStation tended to look a lot, I don't know, more realistic, and usually each game was more individually defined than in 64 games, which all kind of had the same look.
I will say that I'm biased in that fact because I'm an RPG boy, and the selection of RPGs on the PlayStation compared to the 64 is astronomical.
I think if you don't count like Tactics Ogre and stuff, there was only like one RPG on the N64.
Quest 64. And that game's like notoriously shit, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, but when it's the only RPG for the system, it got a lot of hate, because it's like, previous generation, they had Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, and now all you're giving us is Quest 64? Get out of here!
Fantasy's like, sorry, we're going over to this other company that you should have done business with and made the disc system with, but you...
Yeah.
Man, what could have been?
Yeah, man. Well, I don't think Nintendo ended up hurting that badly from it, but still.
No, not at all. But so Nate, you didn't hear the end of my argument, but it was just there's all these other card games. There's only one Sonic. Like I can't think of a game that even tries to emulate Sonic. There might be, but no one talks about them, and that's because there's one Sonic.
Yeah, I had to pee real bad.
Oh, I understand that, though.
All right. Our next question comes in from Dane. You're stuck on a 10-hour flight. Where are you sitting? Next to one guy who really likes to talk about Linux, or a whole hungry pack of wolves?
Do I have headphones?
Here's the thing. If I'm stuck on a flight with somebody who really likes to talk about Linux, it's probably Dane, right? So I'll sit next to Dane on a flight. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to try to get you to install Arch, though.
I'd be like, listen, whoever you are, if you're not Dane, you have 10 hours to explain to me what the fuck Linux actually is and why I should use it, because Windows is pretty fucking easy. So, like, sometimes Dane sends screenshots of his desktop, and I'm like, there's a lot of shit going on that just looks like things running in the background. And I'm like, I don't know
what.
The
thing about Linux people, too, and it's so funny, because Dane is one of these people, because Dane's like, you should run Linux, you should run Linux. Like, yeah, I ran a laptop off of Ubuntu for a while there, Dane. He's like, that barely counts. I'm like, fuck you, Dane.
You need to run it on kernel 3 system 5 of Linux 1994. Then you're a true fucking PC user. We love you, Dane.
You're the best.
I can't wait to...
As long as I don't have to talk about video games with the Linux people, because they have to convince themselves... Like, I mean, recently Wine and stuff works, and you can actually play games on Linux. But for a while, they had to convince themselves that Tux Racer was a good video game, and that's sad.
I always... And no offense to them, but I always giggle at Steam reviews who say a negative review because they couldn't get the game to run on Mac or Linux. And how many people respond with their Steam points to give them the clown thing. Like... you could use those points to buy new avatars and new things for your profile and all this stuff, and you're using it to tell people you're a fucking clown. You're playing on Mac.
Well, here's the thing.
Look, Crysis didn't run on my Commodore 64, and I'm a little mad.
Himself next week. I'm going to rip into him right now just a little bit. So, I just remember we go on the Tadpog Discord, we have the Game Buds group where we get together and play games once a week. And Dane used to come to that a lot too. And he would sometimes try to host, Jackbox games from his computer. And if that motherfucker didn't have trouble getting it to run 50% of the time so he could host the Jackbox games, like, come on, Dane.
But it's so much better than Windows. I think it's supposed to be like less intrusive or something like that. But like at this point, like the government knows everything about me. They know when I beat off. So like, whatever.
I mean, yeah, because we use our phones for that now, and woo. That's definitely tracked.
Dude, okay. We have a friend. I'm not going to name them.
Jeff. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, it wasn't Jeff. But we were talking about, and it was funny because us three had a conversation about VR porn. And we were just out of the blue, we were talking about it, and then the conversation ended. And then like 2 days later, this friend, who I'm not going to name, I won't embarrass him, but just writes the chat and it's like, so, VR porn's a thing. And I just cracked up because I was like, that's tremendous. And we were just talking about that.
So funny.
Oh, it cracked me up.
Oh, good stuff. All right, I guess we can move on to the next one. I'm done dunking on Dane. Yeah.
Love you, Dane. Have fun with Elden Ring.
Further than not further than Dalton, of course. But anyway, this next one comes in from Jeff.
I wouldn't.
You can have one British food per row. So the first row is fish and chips, a full breakfast, or a Sunday roast. The second row is a shepherd's pie, a beef Wellington, and a tikka masala. And then the third row is an apple crumble, a sticky toffee pudding, and a banoffee pie.
I gotta give you credit. This is some of the best. When I think of stereotypes of British food, it usually looks a lot worse.
Yeah, I ripped on this question.
Good choices. Like, I actually had to think of...
I had to think about none of them, but... because, like, Yeah, because like I was working on this question a little bit on the Discord, saying like, "Oh yeah, you picked the one country that doesn't spice their foods," and I'm not even. And one of those foods, tikka masala, is Indian anyway, so you can't really call that a British food, but it's British in the same way that our Mexican food is American.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was going to
but I'm not even picking it because I'm not a big fan of Indian food. But my answers are fish and chips. You can't go wrong for fried fish, fries, and mushy peas. Also, I have a problem with the picture because those peas do not look mushy. My row 2, beef Wellington, because you can wrap a rare steak in bread. Fuck yeah, dude. And then number 3, the good old apple crumble, because I love apple and I love the ice cream on top of it. Easy.
Yeah. Well, I think I have entirely different answers than you, because I wanted to go with the full English breakfast, the chicken tikka masala, and then I don't actually really eat dessert food any, so none of those.
Cool.
Although if I had to pick one, I would go with the apple crumble.
If Willie's not going to pick a dessert, I'll take his sticky toffee pudding, and we'll take that off the list. So I'll have 2 choices. I'm going to go fish and chips because I can make good breakfast and I can make a Sunday roast. But I would rather somebody else fry fish for me because that makes a lot. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go fish and chips, and they're known for that. So why not? A chippy tea, if you will. The next one, man, I really like cottage pie, which is shepherd's pie with ground beef instead. But I don't know how I feel about lamb. I don't think I've ever had it. So I think I'm going to go beef Wellington.
Honestly, I've really, every time I've had lamb, I'm like, this could have been beef and I wouldn't have noticed that much of a difference. Like, I do think all red meat's kind of the same.
Okay, well then.
I could be wrong, but bison tastes like really lean beef. As far as I know, kangaroo tastes like extremely lean beef with a little gaminess
like
to it.
Like that Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal lean.
Just the Smooth Criminal, yeah, the extreme lean.
So I'm going to go fish and chips, beef Wellington, and since I'm taking your sticky toffee pudding, then I'm also going to have a nice slice of banafi pie, because it's literally just like some delicious bananas and then dulce de leche and whipped cream on
it. That's so good. I had no idea what it was, so.
Okay,
I was like, what's a banafi?
It's pretty tasty.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, that actually does sound good now that you say it out loud.
All right. This next question is a bit of a chonker, and I haven't really read this one, so you're hearing it the first time I am. This one comes from Chad, the Mad Lad, no goddamn C in his last name, Schaefer. In the world of anime/manga, My Hero Academia, you get a quirk / superpower at your teenage years. One of the characters and villains of the show is Himiko Togo. Her power is like Mystique's from X-Men, Shapeshifter, but she has to ingest the blood of whomever she wants to replicate. My question to you is, if you had this power, at what age do you think you would first discover it? So when would you ingest another person's blood? Love you all. Huh. That is a weird one, because you have to discover that you have that at some point. So when have you accidentally tasted, not your own, because I can't imagine that would have a big effect, but somebody else's blood?
I mean, I can think of a specific instance that you could possibly like, but we won't go there. We won't go there.
Going to go there.
So maybe like I've had, like, back in the day, not so much now that I'm an adult, but like back in my teenage years, where the girls were like, "Ooh, what if when you lick the blood off of me, it would be so hot." So like, there's a possibility that I know, Nate. I knew some weird.
You watch way like, too. You read way too many Anne Rice books, Dalton.
Though this is
I
real.
know.
I knew girls who did, but yes, I love Anne Rice. You're not wrong. but
you mean to tell me an ant fried this rice?
I think the first time I ever tasted somebody else's blood was in a fight, and I remember like being on top of this dude, punching him, and one of his friends come up and kicked me, so I fell over, and dude rolled over and started punching me, and his nose was pouring blood and just dripping onto my face as he was punching me. So, like, can you imagine being in that situation? Then all of a sudden you just realize, like, oh, I'm a shit, and you just turn into something else? Like, that'd be fucking wild.
I can't say it'd be big advantage to turn into the guy who's beating your ass, but you're beneath him.
I don't know. I start seeing his own face down there and be like, whoa, what the fucking stop?
Yeah, it would startle him enough that you could mount him instead.
All this mounting talk, man.
This is probably a good question. I wish I would have had time to think about, because I'm just over here stun locked by it. I got nothing. Yeah, I genuinely don't have anything for this one.
I know for a fact I have experienced the one we said we wouldn't talk about, but
yeah,
I don't know. There was probably a time in high school during like a wrestling match or something where that would have happened, because like I can't really think of anything too specific other than that. So, very good question, Chad. We don't know, except for Dalton.
What if maybe you're riding on a bike and a mosquito flies in your mouth? Like, really just killed one.
But then you probably wouldn't know how it happened. Like, I don't think you'd put it together immediately. You'd just be like, why am I Greg from accounting now?
I am the table.
And who is Greg from accounting?
Yeah, that's really, really interesting.
It'd be like that scene where Lex Luthor ends up in the Flash's body, and he's like, finally, I'll find out his real identity. He takes off the helmet, looks at him, and he's like, I have no idea who this is.
All right, and our last question comes in from our boy Adam again, who says, who's the character you loved using and the character you hated fighting against? So the character I loved using was Witch Chick, and the character I hated fighting against was whatever the character after the one with the guns in the story mode was. I can't remember her name, but like, she kicks my ass every time.
You talk about the alien chick who comes down, just kind of like randomly out of nowhere, right after you fight Vice, and she's just really fast. Yeah, that bitch is hard. That was the one that gate kept me from beating the game. That was the one I definitely did not enjoy fighting. She is the second to last person you fight.
I had a feeling I was close.
I didn't get anywhere near as close as you did. I think I got stopped by Angelia, so that's my choice. And I'm just gonna say I like playing as Clarice because I liked. I figured out her moves really quickly. Like got her anti-air, and her like ranged attack, and then a couple combos, cup of coffee. Mine would be Konoha to play as, just because that was the one I easily beat the game with. And then I think like the one that I had the most trouble with was Vice, so I'm gonna give it to her. She hit pretty fucking hard for a 14-year-old. Apparently, like goddamn, like what kind of power does she have? That's what I need to know, this lore. But all right, dude. I guess that brings us to the end. I can't see any reason why not, which is wild because this is a very short recording. Yeah, dude. I didn't jinx it. You're right. I didn't jinx it. I'm happy about it because I can go back to bed and not have to deal with my allergies anymore. Just gonna lay down and watch some videos on my phone and snooze. On that note, if you would like to join the insanity that is our Discord, and I say insanity, it's really not. It's pretty fucking chill in there. Everyone in there, super nice. Come and hang out with us. bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. And it will get you an invite in. And you can come and join and vote on the different polls that we have, join in the conversations, the different polls we got going right now. Let's see, what's up? We got the listener picked game poll. So the one that is next up is Mass Effect, the first Mass Effect. That's going to be a fun one. The last winner is one that I cannot wait for us to play, which is Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. Oh, yeah, I just bought the sequel, and I got myself a point. I got Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. I haven't played it yet, but like the first one put enough of an impression on me. I got it for free from Amazon, and it was enough of an impression on me that I was like, I'm going to buy the sequel when I saw it. I've heard about the sequel that people said it's better in every way, and if you didn't even play the first game, to just skip to the second one anyway. Tremendous. So you're in for a good one. Also, just to save you guys a little money, if you don't have the game, the games that I get through Twitch Prime are DRM free. So when that comes up, we can handle that. But the poll that is going right now is Pathologic 2, Stardew Valley, Outcast, Second Contact, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, and Batman Arkham Knight. And there is a tie between Pathologic 2 and Batman Arkham Knight.
I'm going to give my opinion that I think Pathologic 2 will be the more interesting episode, but it comes down to the favor of the vote. We got the short game poll. That is the last winner of that, which another one that I cannot fucking wait for us to play. Katamari Damacy.
Yeah. Oh, holy shit, Katamari won?
Katamari won. So, and then the poll that is up for the short game for the next one is the Mortuary Assistant, Inspector Waffles, Amazon the Explorer's Legacy, The Turing Test, or Small World. There's another tie on this one so far between the Mortuary Assistant and Amazon the Explorer Legacy. And then we got a retro game poll. Last winner of that was Legend of the River King. And the choices going for that one is Oregon Trail for the Apple II, Panic Restaurant for the NES, Mutant Hockey League for the Genesis, Rayman 2 The Great Escape for the PS1, N64, Dreamcast, and PC, Blood Fresh Supply for PC, and Pandemonium for the PC, N64, and I think the PS1. And right now, winning that poll is Rayman 2. It's the only poll we got right now without a tie.
All right.
So...
Wow, last I checked, Oregon Trail was way ahead, so that's interesting.
It's swapped over to some Rayman 2.
Good job, Ray fans.
So come join the Discord. You can vote on those if you want to sway one way or the other. Do so. If you want to check out our website, bit.ly/The Steam Machine Podcast, that is kept up to date by Dane. Thank you very much, sir. He also keeps our YouTube up to date. I think the YouTube is a little behind at the moment, but that's okay. Dane's had a lot of stuff going on, so I do not blame him in the slightest. If you would like to support the show, which would mean the world to us, the support really does help keep the show flowing and all of that. It is patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast. $1 or more a month will get you every episode early and ad-free, and you get our little banter in the beginning that is for patrons only. And you get access to that. You can take the RSS feed from Patreon, put it in your podcast platform. Boom. You can listen to those whenever they drop. If you donate $10 or more, you can get a shout out like these wonderful people on each and every episode. Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of June-iper, Jeff, the original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube, Ariesoradam. Shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction. That is, you can go listen to the archive wherever, or you can join our Discord where he has kept up with it kind of in a text format. Team Retrogue, go check him out over on YouTube. He's a good guy. Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, Chad the Mad Lad, no goddamn seeing his last name Shaffer, and Flyin Brian Doran Gray. Thank you guys very much. And something that I don't mention very often, but I will mention it just because if you donate $20 a month, you can look through the game list that we have, pick a game, and scoot it up to the top. And if you have the means to join us to record, we can work on that too. But that is also an option. That's just not one that we advertise often because of the kind of the way the things roll. But if you really want us to play a game, that's a good way to do it. Other than that, man, go check out the Yet Another BS podcast archives. Shout out to JRPG Report, the show that me and Mikolov do on the off weeks of the Steam Machine, bringing you the latest and greatest of the JRPG news. Been real light lately, so we didn't do an episode this last week, but hopefully next week we'll have some more. If you want some merch, tsmpproductions.threadless.com. You like the music, I got a new album out. NileTheNightmare.bandcamp.com. Just got notification that my Tragedy Idol EP got approved for Spotify and Apple Music and stuff, so that'll probably take 7 to 14 days, but that should be available sometime soon, so I will let you all know. And yeah, man. Again, bit.ly/TSMB Discord, come join us. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, and we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about a really old piece of jewelry with our good buddy Dane. It's going to be a good time. That's probably going to be a beefy episode, so just prepare yourselves. Maybe, boys, we should start that one a little earlier than normal if at all
probably
possible.
a good idea.
I encourage the guys not to talk about the game on this episode just because there's going to be that much to talk about.
Absolutely. So until then, Jeff, again, we apologize it's short, but you'll live, my good sir. And for the Shoutout Bros, I'm Dalton, and as always, everybody, take it easy.